Alright, so here we have a 2014 Odyssey, and today we're going to be changing the rear rotors and also the brake pads, and we got ones from R1 Concept. So this comes as a kit with pads and everything you need. I bought an open box, so I think I'm missing some pieces like the retaining clips, but we do have all the pads, and then our rotors, 2 boxes below that. But as you guys can see, these are drilled and slotted, so yeah, these should be quite good compared to what's there. And these are getting really old. You guys can see they're grooved and they're worn out, and yeah, just need attention, and probably they look like they're original. Yeah, the rear rotors are actually dual purpose. You got brakes here, and on the inside we got a drum emergency brake. It all kind of works together. Got another rotor that's never been opened or touched. So the way these are, they should be directional, and you can kind of see the way the lines go. So the way the wheel spins when you go forward is these turn like this. So this one will go on this side and the other one will go on the other side. And a lot of times they're labeled, and these I don't really see anything, but yeah, and sometimes they have them on the rotors. And so to replace our rotors, we're gonna have to take off the caliper, which is this piece here, and then we're gonna have to take off this bracket. And by the way, this piece here removes with these 2 bolts here, and then the main bracket, there are 2 big bolts right here. And also, you guys can see we actually have pretty good brake pads. Looks like recently changed maybe, but we do need to compress this a little bit, the cylinder. There's a little groove here where you can press on it, like pry on it with a pry bar, or however you got to do to kind of loosen them up a bit so the fluid run back in. You can bleed this, but you got to be really careful not to suck air in there. If you do, you'll definitely have to bleed the brake lines. But yeah, pretty straightforward stuff. And then also we got this guy here that looks like it's never been turned, which you need to be very careful not to strip it. So I have this pretty huge screwdriver that I can hit on, and actually look at that, mine just, wow, that's pretty impressive. So either this has been removed before or it just never corroded. So yeah, you do need to take that off. And then here we have a rubber plug that's actually access to adjusting the brake on the inside, which is the emergency brake. I'll show you that, guys, once we take everything off. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take all this apart and we'll take the disc off. So these here are 12mm, and they're quite easy to pull off. So I'm gonna use the pry bar here to kind of bleed out a bit the cylinder, so you guys can see it's really loose now. So we'll just pull this section out, and we can take our brake pads out. And yeah, these look pretty fresh actually, or not too bad, but they are used up somewhat. So we'll obviously go ahead and change these. So the bolts for the back on this main bracket are 17mm, and they're going to be a little harder to break, but obviously not impossible. Usually hitting the wrench helps. And then they just unscrew by hand pretty easily after that. And there we go, that's our bracket here. So we got these pins here that are supposed to be moving really easy in there. There's grease. You can pop them off here, these little rubbers, and add grease if you want to, but mine feel really nice and smooth, so I'm just gonna leave them. And also these are the clips that we normally would replace where the brake pads slide in there. I'm just gonna clean them up and reuse these as I don't have new ones. So make sure your brakes are not on, your emergency brakes, and this is all free. Now we can take the rotor off, and mine is completely loose, and it comes off quite easily. So this is our emergency brake pads and retainers and all that stuff here. And you probably want to clean up this area as it gets quite dirty with brake dust and whatnot else. It looks like everything is good here. Our adjustment for these brakes are on the bottom here, and I'll show you guys that in a second. Which when we install the new rotor, we'll adjust it to the new rotor. So when you push the pedal inside the car, it's, you know, nice and firm, and you have good emergency braking power. Alright, so that looks all pretty good. And if we look down here, guys, you can kind of see right there, there's a little wheel that you spin, so I got teeth on it. That's going to spread the brake pads apart or contract them to the inside. So once we put a rotor in, we're going to stick a flat screwdriver through the hole there and turn them until the rotor starts touching it, and then we'll back it out a couple notches. Alright, so now let's grab our new rotor and we'll install it there, but we got to make sure that we install the parts where the little bolt goes in on one of these, but more importantly, this plug here from the old one we need to take out and also put it back in here, and this is where we're going to adjust the little teeth I was talking about. Grab our little Phillips bolt. And there we go. So now you're going to need a flat screwdriver. So what you're going to do is you're going to look through this hole until you can see those little teeth inside that you can move either up or down, and that's how you're going to turn it to tighten it or to loosen it. So it's a little tricky, but it's not too bad. Just look through the hole until you see them, and then use a flat screwdriver to turn it to spread them out. Alright, so I've moved it too much. It doesn't even spin anymore. So I need to go back, turning this way, tightens it, and this way unwinds it. So now I need to push it back down to unwind it. And now we're free again. I can see it's catching a little bit, so I need to go down a little more. And that should be just right. If it barely touches, it's okay. So mine just touched there for a second and then it stopped. So that should be close enough. So I probably went 3/4 of a revolution, maybe a whole revolution, before it started touching. So they did need to be tightened up a bit. But yeah, simple as that. The inner drum's adjusted. Now we can put this cap back on. And we just popped it off the old one, and it's gonna go in here. Just like that, and it just prevents the dust from getting inside the drum. So yeah, now we're just gonna work in reverse order of putting our brake pads on here and then our caliper back on the brake pads, and that's pretty much it. So our new pads look pretty good and should do the job. These are ceramic brake pads by R1 Concept. So we're just gonna install them into the frame here. All right, so once we set them in there, we can go ahead and go around the disc just like that. Grab our bolts and start them. So the 17mm bolts have about 80 foot-pounds or so, and then these smaller ones up here are going to be about 25 or so. So once that's torqued, we can bring in the caliper, and let's see if we have enough room. Not quite, so we need to compress this a little more. So it's better to compress it when you still have it on the old pads, as now it'd be a little harder to compress. I'll just use the old pads and then push it. So yeah. All right, so now we should fit pretty easily. And there we go. Still snug, but it does go over. And now we can put our 12mm back in. And these are not torqued very hard, so it'll be more easy on them. And that's it. Our brakes are on. So yeah, now we just got to put the wheel back on, lower it down, do the other side, and we'll have drilled and slotted performance rotors with new pads ready to go. So if you want to get some for yourself, check out the links below. And also to mention how good they look with the wheel on. Very nice.